The ski lodge is absolutely brilliant. This is the 14th episode of the 5th season of Frasier. This is directed by David Lee, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts, and this is the top rated episode of all time on IMDb, beating Ham Radio really just by a tiny amount. Personally, I think I slightly prefer Ham Radio. It does not surprise me that this is the top rated. It is beautifully written, beautifully executed, very, very funny. It starts off down at KCL. Ross has won a ski weekend in a raffle, but Frasier puts her off of the idea. Frasier ends up getting the tickets or the booking for the ski lodge. And he goes with Niles, Daphne, Martin, and Daphne's friend Annie. And while they're there, they meet Guy, the ski instructor. And it turns out, well, first of all, the lodge is a really nice setting, really, really enjoyable location, really enjoyable set. And it turns out that, Martin aside, everybody's kind of lusting after everybody. There's this beautiful moment where Martin is at the front, he's in the forefront, really beautifully shot, and he's looking out at, I think it was some deer, and it's so sweet and adorable. And he's looking forward to having a nice night. However, his ears recently became clogged, they needed to pop, so sound was really muffled. And for a lot of the episode, he's not able to hear properly, and this gets us into some pretty interesting situations. We learn very quickly, and the way it unfolds is so gorgeous. We learn that Frasier is interested in Annie. Annie is interested in Niles. Niles is interested in Daphne. Daphne is interested in Guy. And Guy is interested in Niles. And basically throughout the rest of the episode, they're all chasing each other. Martin overhears Daphne saying something at one point where she thought Annie was hot for Frasier, or he thought she said Annie was hot for Frasier. That's not what she said. But Martin heard this incorrectly, relayed this to Frasier. He was very excited, and everybody seems to be getting mixed signals. And I won't go into every tiny detail about what happens, but basically, it's a lot of people moving around, getting their wires crossed, being in each other's rooms, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and getting a lot of mixed messages. Guy thinks that Daphne and Annie are having fun together, and it got particularly interesting when they started to go into each other's bedrooms. When they go into Frasier's bedroom at one point, and a bottle of champagne is kind of resting on his thighs in between his legs, and it spouts out rather suggestively, and then Guy is in Niles' bed, and it's just absolute chaos. And there are two bits I love. In fact, we're at the end of the episode now. Basically, there's a lot of this going back and forth. If it hadn't been handled correctly, it could have become quite stale, because it is kind of repetitive, just the same characters falling into the same mistakes repeatedly. But it's done so beautifully. The performances are brilliant, so well written, absolutely loved it. And we are at the end of the episode now, and we have two moments back to back that I absolutely loved. Everybody is shouting at each other. They all realise, not exactly what's going on, but they all realise that a lot of them are in the wrong place. And Martin comes in, asking them what all this shouting and yelling is about, and then he realises his ears must have popped, he can hear clearly again. And there's just a brief moment of silence as we acknowledge this. And then he smiles and off he goes, and it was so sweet, and he's just oblivious to everything. I absolutely loved it. And then they're just about to disperse and go back to their correct rooms. And Frasier realises, and I hadn't picked up on this, and you might have picked up on it long before I did. I didn't realise this until Frasier said it, which made it all the funnier. But the way he said it was perfect. He pointed out that everybody has been chasing everybody, and no one was chasing me. Just the way he said it, I loved. And I didn't realise that. When I kind of wrote it down, this person's going after this person, and this person's going after this person. I guess the way I wrote it down, to follow the sequence, it would mean that Guy would be going after Frasier to loop it back around. But actually, I looped it round to Niles. So I should have picked up on it, but I'm glad I didn't, because that reveal was just absolute perfection. As I said, doesn't surprise me at all that the ski lodge is the top rated episode of Frasier. It's not my favourite. I would have a difficult time ranking my top 5 or 10 Frasier episodes. It would be very challenging. Maybe after I've completed this second watch of the show, I might try that. But I absolutely think it deserves that top spot nonetheless. May not be my all-time favorite, but I absolutely love it. It is perfectly written, brilliantly performed, so funny. The Ski Lodge is a delightful episode of Frasier, and needless to say, one that I really thoroughly enjoyed.